Creepy Hilton story. I think I was being stalked. I'd been looking forward to this trip for months. London. The Hilton on Park Lane, an assignment for Wanderlust magazine covering the resurgence of traditional afternoon tea. It sounded idyllic, the kind of gig that made the late nights and ramen dinners of freelance writing feel almost glamorous. The cab pulled up to the hotel's grand entrance, the doorman all smiles and brisk efficiency. I checked in. My room was on the 10th floor, overlooking Hyde Park. The view was breathtaking, a green expanse stretching out before me like a perfectly manicured carpet. I unpacked, hung up my clothes, and then headed downstairs for a quick coffee. I had a meeting scheduled for the next morning with a renowned tea sommelier, and I wanted to be prepared. The hotel buzzed with activity. Businessmen in sharp suits, families with excited children, couples holding hands, a microcosm of the city itself. I grabbed a latte from the lobby cafe and settled into a plush armchair, pulling out my notebook to review my notes. That's when I noticed it, a small, almost imperceptible shift. On the bedside table, the little card with the hotel's Wi-Fi password, it was askew like someone had touched it. I distinctly remembered straightening it before I left. I frowned, dismissing it as an overactive imagination. Jet lag, maybe. The feeling, though, lingered, like a tiny prickle on the back of my neck. The next few days were a whirlwind of scones, clotted cream, and Earl Grey. I interviewed chefs, sampled teas, and explored the city in my free time, snapping photos and scribbling notes. I met Rob Sterling on the second day. He was sitting at the bar, nursing a scotch, and we struck up a conversation. He was charming, successful, something in finance, I think, and seemed genuinely interested in my work. He bought me a drink, and we talked for hours. He started appearing everywhere, at breakfast, in the lobby, even at the tea room where I was conducting an interview. Each time, he'd offer a friendly smile, a casual wave. I initially found it flattering, a welcome distraction from the loneliness of being away from home. Then things started to feel off. I came back to my room one afternoon to find my laptop bag unzipped. I hadn't left it that way. I checked to see if anything was missing, but everything seemed to be there. Again, I tried to rationalize it. Housekeeping, perhaps, but the incidents continued. A book moved from the table to the bed. My toiletries rearranged in the bathroom, a lingering scent of cologne that wasn't mine. I started sleeping with the chain lock on the door. I called Dan, my best friend. He's always been the voice of reason, the one who can talk me down from my anxieties. "Amy, you're probably just stressed," he said, his voice calm and reassuring. "London's a busy place. Maybe you're just misremembering things. Dan, I know what I saw. My stuff is being moved. I feel like someone's been in my room. Did you tell the hotel?" "Yeah, but they brushed it off. Said they'd investigate, but nothing's happened. Look, just be careful, okay? And if you really feel threatened, call the police." I felt like I was losing my mind. Was I imagining things? Was I just paranoid? The constant feeling of being watched was starting to wear me down. Rob invited me to dinner at a fancy restaurant near Leicester Square. I hesitated, but I didn't want to be rude. Besides, maybe I was overreacting. Maybe I was just being silly. The dinner was lovely. Rob was attentive, funny, and engaging. But there were moments, fleeting glimpses, when I saw something else in his eyes. A possessiveness, a neediness that made me uneasy. He walked me back to the hotel, his hand lingering on my arm as we said goodnight. "I've really enjoyed getting to know you, Amy," he said, his voice low. "I hope we can spend more time together." "Maybe," I said, trying to keep my voice neutral. Back in my room, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. I checked the locks on the door, peeked through the peephole, and even looked under the bed. I decided to take matters into my own hands. The next day, I bought a small, hidden camera online and had it delivered to the hotel. I positioned it on the desk, disguised as a phone charger pointed directly at the door. That night, I barely slept. Every creak, every rustle sent my heart racing. The next morning, I waited until I was sure housekeeping had been in, then rushed back to my room. I unplugged the camera and hooked it up to my laptop. The footage was grainy but clear enough. I fast-forwarded through the hours of empty room, my anxiety building with each passing second. Then I saw it. A figure entering the room, not housekeeping, a man wearing gloves, his face obscured by a baseball cap. He moved silently, deliberately around the room. He went through my drawers, opened my laptop bag, and even sniffed my clothes. It was him, Rob. I felt a wave of nausea wash over me. My blood ran cold. I called Dan, my voice shaking. "It was him, Dan, it was Rob. He was in my room." "Amy, are you sure? Maybe it was someone else. I'm sure I saw the footage. I'm calling the police." I hung up and dialed 999. Detective Inspector Harding arrived at the hotel within the hour. She was a no-nonsense woman with a weary expression and a sharp eye. I showed her the footage. She watched it in silence, her expression unreadable. "This is disturbing, MS. Carter," she said finally, "but it's not conclusive. We need more evidence. More evidence. He was in my room. He was going through my things. We need to identify him, MS Carter, and we need to establish a motive." I gave her Rob's name and the details I knew about him. She promised to investigate. That night, I was moved to a different room on a higher floor with extra security. I felt safer, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I was still being watched. The police investigation moved slowly. Di Harding told me that Rob Sterling was indeed who he said he was, a successful businessman with no prior criminal record. He claims he barely knows you, MS. Carter, she said. He says you're mistaken. I was losing my mind. How could they not see it? How could they not believe me? I decided to do some investigating of my own. I searched Rob Sterling's name online, digging through articles and social media profiles. I found an address listed on a company website. It was a luxury apartment building in Kensington. I went there the next day. I told the doorman I was delivering a package for Mr. Sterling. He buzzed me in. I took the elevator to Rob's floor and knocked on his door. A woman answered. She was young, attractive, and looked vaguely familiar. "Can I help you?" she asked, her voice polite but cautious. "I'm looking for Rob Sterling," I said. "He's not here right now," she said. "Who are you?" "My name is Amy Carter. I met Rob at the Hilton." Her eyes widened slightly. "Oh," she said, "you're the travel writer. Do you live here?" I asked. "I'm his personal assistant, Jessica," she said. "Can I take a message?" "Yes, tell him I know everything." I turned and walked away, my heart pounding in my chest. Back at the hotel, I found a note slipped under my door. "Meet me. Hyde Park, 10 p.m., come alone." It was unsigned, but I knew who it was from. I called Di Harding. She told me not to go, that it was too dangerous. She promised to arrange surveillance, but I couldn't wait. I needed to confront him. I needed to know why. At 10 p.m., I walked into Hyde Park. The park was deserted, the only sound the rustling of leaves and the distant hum of traffic. I saw him standing by the Serpentine Lake, his silhouette outlined against the dark water. "Rob," I said, my voice trembling. He turned to face me, his expression unreadable. "Amy," he said, "I'm glad you came. Why are you doing this?" I asked. "Why are you stalking me?" He smiled, a chillingly calm smile. "I'm not stalking you, Amy. I'm just admiring you from afar. You broke into my room. I have proof. Proof can be manipulated," he said. "Perception can be deceiving. What do you want from me?" He took a step closer, his eyes fixed on mine. "I want you to be mine, Amy, all mine." I felt a surge of panic. I turned to run, but he grabbed my arm. "Don't run, Amy," he said, his voice low and menacing. "It's no use." I struggled, but he was too strong. He pulled me closer, his grip tightening. That's when I saw the flash of metal, a knife. I screamed. Suddenly, lights flashed and sirens wailed. Police officers swarmed the park, surrounding us. Rob released me and tried to run, but he was quickly apprehended. I stood there, shaking, as the police took him away. Di Harding rushed to my side, her face etched with concern. "Are you all right, MS. Carter?" she asked. I think so," I stammered. Rob Sterling was arrested and charged with stalking and attempted assault. The police investigation revealed a history of obsessive behavior towards other women. I testified at his trial. He was found guilty and sentenced to several years in prison. I left London a few days later, eager to put the whole experience behind me. But even now, months later, I still feel the prickle on the back of my neck. I still check the locks on my doors multiple times a night. I still scan the faces in the crowd, looking for that familiar, unsettling gaze. I moved to a new apartment, changed my phone number, and even dyed my hair. But I can't shake the feeling that he's still out there somewhere watching me. Sometimes I see things. A shadow in the corner of my eye, a car that seems to be following me, a face in the crowd that looks vaguely familiar. I tell myself it's just paranoia, that it's just the lingering effects of the trauma. But then I find a small, almost imperceptible shift. A misplaced item in my apartment, a lingering scent of cologne. A book moved from the table to the bed, and I know he's still watching. He will find me.